The people that are willing to risk their career, they're willing to risk looking stupid. We celebrate books like that. We talk about that. We get together at conferences and we clap and we cheer and we go back to our workplace and we get reprimanded for doing things like that. So just like parents, you get more of what you reward. How, as leaders, are we rewarding that creative courage? I don't think we are enough because otherwise we'd reinforce people doing that more often.
That's Ali Schwanke. And that insight hit me hard because she's right. We do celebrate bold thinking on stage. We quote it. We repost it. We applaud the risk takers and the rebels. But then we go back to our systems, our meetings, our metrics, and we play it safe. This episode is a reminder and a challenge to lead differently, to reward the spark before the flame, to build companies, teams, and brands where creative courage isn't just praised in hindsight, it's practiced in real time. Welcome to Design Of. I'm your host, Justin Ahrens, and today we're exploring how helping is the new selling, what it really takes to scale with purpose, and how the best leaders don't just follow a playbook, they rewrite it. So take a breath, grab your notebook, or adjust your curiosity, and let's get inspired.
Hey, Ali, thank you for being on the show. How do you say your last name officially?
Yeah, so it rhymes with donkey, Schwanke donkey.
Schwanke donkey. You see there, I'll never forget it now. Well, we were just talking earlier about all of our sort of mixed connections and being connected, not even knowing it. And I had so much fun researching you, but also following you online, which we'll get into too. But I wanted to start with, I've seen you write about the entrepreneurial spirit and how it started early. So what is the story? Did you sell greeting cards as a kid to buy a microscope? What is that?
I did. I actually shared that story yesterday at a workshop because that was my first sales experience. But I'm the oldest of four. And when you are the oldest child of a frugal family, because we're all within 5 years, you always need to figure out a way to get the stuff that you actually want. So I really wanted some extra cash, but then I developed this greeting card. I found this catalog where you could sell, again, people used to buy things from catalogs, folks. It used to happen.
Right.
And so, we lived in a small town and I decided that I would kind of peddle this catalog around and see if anybody would buy things. And your sales success as a third grader is highly reliant on you being cute and innocent. And that's why people buy things from you. But I did. I sold stationery and greeting cards. And then eventually I found myself a microscope and a tent is what I earned by doing that.
Oh, so was the microscope like the key thing you're going for? Or is that just the coolest thing you saw in the
It was definitely, yeah. There was like a prize catalog and you could kind of look to see what you wanted to get. And the microscope and the tent were both I was a very studious and I still am very nerd out on things. So I loved that. And then the tent meant I could be in the backyard by myself without my siblings.
Oh, that's cool. I remember I had a microscope when I was a kid too. And I just thought it was awesome to put insects under it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We would catch bugs, terrible, put them in a little peanut butter jar with a thing of acetone and they would die quickly. And then we'd pin them on a board. That's kind of terrible way to talk about my childhood, but that's what we did. And it was fun.
Well, what about that? Can you recall back then, was that a meaningful experience for you to basically sell something and then get awarded for it?
Yeah, I think I'm a very driven person. I think if people ask what word describes Ali Schwanke, they say driven. That always comes up, whether it's my kids and my friends and my clients. And when it comes to owning something and putting the effort into it, I always wanted to see a reward. And so I did, even before I started this company, known as Little, I couldn't understand how someone reaches the end and there isn't something next. So if you reach the pinnacle of a job, what's next? What's next? In entrepreneurship, I, again, didn't know that as a kid, had no idea what the word is. I think a lot of people don't know the word till they know someone that emulates that. Right. But that was a key for me. And obviously as an adult, I realized why those pieces kind of fit together for me.
So in your family, were your parents, what did they do? Were they business owners?
So they were. My dad is an IT professional and he ran, it escalated very, very high in his career and actually ended up running the whole IT for a college system. We were very technology focused in our house. Couldn't watch a lot of TV, but you could be on the computer as much as you wanted to. This is the 90s, right?
Right.
But my mom stayed home with us. And so I figured when you went to college, you became a doctor or a lawyer. There was just this very linear path. That's how I thought about the world. And until I really started realizing I worked for a young firm I'll say like 2 or 3 years into it, I became their like marketing person, which at the time is basically sales support and whatever the owner wants you to do.
Right.
That's what it is. And that's when I learned what it was.
Creatively. Yeah.
I mean, I was taking care of the printer. I was getting coffee, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I learned from him what it means to run a business. And that's when I first started to realize like, this is what it is. I thought it was like, some giant, like you start Ford. But Ford had to start somewhere, right? So I kind of got the taste of that, and that's where it all started.
So you've had such an interesting journey, like from photography to marketing to running a thriving business. So was there ever a moment where you took a big leap or experimented with something new that surprised you and how well it worked?
Yeah, I mean, every time I put myself up to something, I have a lot of self-assurance. That's one of my quote-unquote Gallup strengths. But I think I also have if there's one thing my parents instilled in me, it's skepticism. And I believe that's a very healthy quality, but it tends to work on overdrive. For myself, I tend to I'm not ready yet. I just have to prove myself. And so, it's kind of waiting for that outside validation. And when I first started my photography business, I thought, who will trust me? I've taken a lot of photos. I studied that in college, but who's going to trust me, right? And it just came with saying that you do this and putting some things on a flyer, and suddenly someone hires you. And the first time someone hires you, that they have no connection to your mom, your neighbor, they came out of kind of like the internets, right?
Right.
You go, oh, I can do this.
Do you remember your first photography job where that was the case?
I remember my first wedding that I had shot, and unfortunately now they're no longer married. Which I think is the case with maybe a lot of wedding photographers. I know this.
It had nothing to do with your images, by the way.
Nothing. But as a photographer, the thing that you learn is you can take really good pictures. Anybody can take really good pictures. It's managing people chaos that you underestimate when you go study photography. So everybody wants to have a wedding, but they forget to teach you about the personalities of the bride and the personalities of the mother-in-law and the personalities of the groomsmen that are getting drunk in the bathroom and all that kind of stuff that you just, don't realize. And trying to get everybody together for a shot, I think the bossy older sibling in me came out, and I'm just like, listen up, people. We only got 20 minutes. Stop messing around. We got to get these shots. So I ended up not really liking working nights and weekends, which was the photography piece. And so that prompted me into building websites. And that was kind of the next step of my journey.
So before we jump there, you described yourself as being focused or driven, I think was the word you used, but creative. So how do these things come together and really shape your path on your entrepreneurship journey?
I think there's a very challenging place to be when you're both analytical and creative. Because usually you, Justin, I would put you in it. You're very creative to me. You come up with things out of the nothingness that I usually am a more I see something and iterate on it. And so my creativity is often linked to what people might consider to be a strategic skill, which is pattern identification. And realizing that I see things that people don't see. And as someone who has that skill, if you have that skill, that's a very difficult thing to live with because you feel misunderstood a lot of the time because you see things and people don't see it yet. And then 2 years later, they're going to see it. So right now, everybody's repurposing their content with, different tools. And there's things that chop up your webinar videos. I pitched that concept as a business 3 years ago before there was AI and got a bunch of people on the wait list. And then AI came on the scene. Right. So it's okay, I'm just not quite ready. I'm not there yet. But those qualities of being creative, I think the thing that saves you as an entrepreneur is you can always create your way out of a situation. And that's been, I think, my saving grace is there's never anything that I can't overcome. It's just which angle are we going to tackle it from this time? And am I willing to be wrong? And I'm willing to be wrong. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. And it's taken a while to get used to that.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love just your strength. You can see it in the way you've, kind of created your frame of reference. But there's something I read that I really, really hope you dig into. So you started your business, Simple Strat, I think in 2016, and you wrote a manifesto about how helping is the new selling. And can you share what inspired that philosophy and how it shaped your company's mission? Because I love the title conceptually, and I'd love to understand kind of how you got there and what your perspective is.
So that also came out in a podcast interview I did with Eric Jacobson. So just make sure everybody knows that there's different references to that. But, helping is the new selling. So that goes back to 2 roles that I had prior to that. So again, I'd been employed prior to starting my own company. And I worked for one firm that I had seen content and blogs rising up. And I saw that as the place to help establish your credibility. Like I saw this again, back to the whole being misunderstood before anyone else saw it. And I pitched to my boss at the time that I said, here's 3 blogs that I'd written. I'd love for us to then launch this. And, I don't remember to this day, but the story in my head that sticks is who's ever going to read what we write on the internet? That's ridiculous. And so, that was shot down, moved into a next company, worked at an advertising agency. And we were telling our clients to blog and we were telling our clients to do these things, but we were not doing them ourselves. And so I felt this mismatch of how do I show someone that I have what they can benefit from without actually writing about it or sharing it or whatever. And they really shut us down when we met with someone more than twice. Then we're giving away our expertise. And so I continued to run up in this, I know the world's changing and people are going to research you and learn about you before you actually get into the sales conversation. That has to be integral to us as a company. So when Simple Strat started, we started with the blog. And then as people know us now, we have a very popular YouTube channel teaching people how to use HubSpot. And that's been a core tenet of us going to market is people look online, try to figure out how to do something, look at our content, and then send us a request and see if they can, hire our firm.
That's great. To your point, what you were trying to establish back in the day is really proves itself out. What I'm really interested in we talk about technology and creativity. What about the human element, the empathy element? How does your approach or how do you look at really trying to understand either the human element of the people you're talking to and or the even more direct, your customer that you're working with, trying to understand things from their area of anxiety, fear, desire, all that sort of thing. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that's different about me personally, maybe from someone else who's I'm not the world's best technical HubSpot expert. There are people that are better at that than I am, and lots of them, and a lot of them work for me, right, at Simple Strat. But I think what I am very good at is understanding, like you said, the people aspect. And so if you've ever been with someone who's very technically smart, I'll use Sheldon for an example on The Big Bang Theory, if anyone watches that, or Frasier back in the day. There's this element of this is so easy, Justin. Why can't you just get it? And that sentence was very small, but the mountain of shame that was just laid upon you as a human has created this irreplaceable, you cannot overcome that valley that you've now just built between you and the other person. Because you've inserted all of this, now you don't want to ask questions. Now you feel stupid. And now it just creates this uncomfortable, experience. And so if you're both technically sound and a big fan of empathy, you understand how to say, Justin, tell me more about that. And so you don't actually talk about how smart you are ever. All you do is say, tell me more about that. And then you start to understand, I actually understand that when you log in, the issue that you're having is you don't really understand your role in the company, which means you can't understand HubSpot, which means you can't understand the first screen you see. It's not about having the right screen. It's because you don't have role definition. Let's actually get on a meeting with you and your superior because I think there's some clarity we need to drive here. And so much of success now, especially since everyone HubSpot themselves, I love you, but they're now saying, hey, you know what, the SMBs, small, medium-sized businesses can go onboard themselves. They can just watch a bunch of videos. Again, that's Justin, you've never built a house before. Let me send a kit to your home. And if you call the electrician to find out why you need a specific outlet, you might be stupid. Let's not do that. Everybody still has their strengths, but people skills and empathy, I think, are the thing that are still going to drive successful businesses into the next decade.
Yeah, well said. So I've seen you talk about wanting to help people work smarter and not harder. And so what you just shared is really kind of how that looks like in practice. And so do you think that also really helps people from all spectrums understand how to blend data with creativity and strategic marketing?
Yeah, there was actually a post about this on LinkedIn yesterday. I can't think of who wrote it, otherwise I'd credit them for sure. But it was talking about how so much of the data-driven marketing is really sacrificing the things that people used to actually get caught in attention. So it's I'm going to feed this through AI. It's going to give me all the points for my audience. And so we're all kind of playing the same fiddle And no one's really standing out. There are no purple cows anymore because we're all afraid that the data doesn't tell us that we need a purple cow. It's now just, and that's a reference to Seth Godin, but like we're all trying to do as many of the smartest things as possible as opposed to taking risks and being creative. And that's where some of that, like we need that creative courage in the marketplace today. And if we don't have creative courage and we're just relying on data, we're all doing the exact same thing. So I think, for us, one of the things that I'd love to see people do is take the time to understand the road of where you're going and how, again, working smarter, not harder for me is if you're spending 8 hours a day in meetings, I guarantee you there are places that you can be more efficient and spend more time actually in conversations like this where you can be connecting with humans versus maybe taking notes or following up or whatever that may be. I use an AI note taker that actually finds sentiment in a sales conversation, which gives me reason to understand the empathy and dig even further. So again, that's working smarter because I'm not asking questions. I'm actually letting the AI look for empathetic moments that I can then dig into further in our conversation.
I really appreciate that. This is fascinating because as our industry changes like crazy, I think before one of the stats, at least in the creative business that I would hear people talk about before the AI, let's, for a lack of better terms, called boom happened. They're saying that the creative industry has changed more in the last 10 years than the previous 100 combined. I'm sure that's absolutely obliterated now on the AI side. And my perspective, and I believe we're probably aligned on this, is there's even more of a need now to really understand what makes an organization unique. And sure, you can use data to help maybe find some areas to really help that stand out more. But it feels like people are just becoming more vanilla, right? I see more brands that are vanilla. I see more stories that are vanilla. You can tell when a post is written by AI still, if someone getting into it. So how do you see, again, going back to the human element, the uniqueness needed, the boldness needed, kind of what you were just referencing? How do you see that personally in your organization, or how do you coach your clients on the value of that?
Yeah, I mean, personally for us, the YouTube channel is a big aspect of that. And, we have our faces on there for a reason. We don't have these sort of, and people ask me like, hey, are you using any sort of AI? We'll call it like clipping, like where they pull out pieces of the tutorials and stuff. And I said, first of all, no, because then it would just be, our goal is to be helpful. It's not just to create noise. And so I think a lot of these tools create noise. Can you chop it up and have 5 different snippets? Sure. Is anybody going to watch it? Does anybody care? No, because everyone's doing that. And I think I'm a very logical person on a scale of 1 to 10. I think I'm like a 9.5. Logic is when we all do the same thing, nobody stands out. Like, have you seen the movie Hunger Games? When they're all standing in that, kind of like open area and they're all dressed the same, they all look the same. And the queen obviously stands out because she's crazy, but she's dressed like this, the Ice Queen. So I think the thing that we sacrifice when we don't bring the human element is, again, we all look vanilla when we all feel like we're being smart. So I shouldn't say nobody. The people that are willing to risk their career, they're willing to risk looking stupid. We celebrate books like that. We talk about that. We get together at conferences and we clap and we cheer and we go back to our workplace and we get reprimanded for doing things like that. So just like parents, you get more of what you reward. How, as leaders, are we rewarding that creative courage? I don't think we are enough because otherwise we'd reinforce people doing that more often. But I think we're in a results-driven culture, which is fine. Results are important, but how many times can I watch a baseball come off of a baseball bat in like the sports stuff on ESPN when they talk about the velocity? Screw the velocity. We love the personality of this guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Forget the personality. So I think that we're finding people that we want to emulate and connect with and follow, but we also, I think, see ourselves being creative and finding a way to break through the noise, maybe with somebody else's permission, when I think the ones that are doing it while they're not waiting for permission, they're simply taking the risks.
Well, as you know, building a business is not without its challenges. And so I have 4 kids. My youngest is a freshman at Iowa. And we've been talking about women in business and entrepreneurship. And did you feel, or is there particular lessons or scaling Simple Strat that particularly impacted you? Or what advice would you give to someone who, is a woman entrepreneur who wants to start a business and pursue her dreams?
Many of the times in my career, people have asked me, what's it like to be a woman entrepreneur? And my question is, I don't know, what's it like to breathe? I've never thought of myself as a woman entrepreneur. You don't think of yourself as a man entrepreneur. And I think we tend to do that because there's some people that are very sensitive to that.
Right.
And I do believe that women may face different challenges than men do, but men also face a lot of different challenges that women aren't familiar with. So I think it's important for me as an entrepreneur to just understand who I am, and this is just what I do. And when you have children, so my children don't understand what it's like to have a mom who doesn't own a business. They don't know what that's like. Just like women who are children of a physician don't understand what it's like to not have a doctor for a father. That's just weird. So we're all used to our own set of normal. Now, what I do have to do at home is the same way I do things in my business is we run my home like we run our business. And everybody's got a chore chart and we've got, check-ins and we're planning ahead and we share a calendar. So some of the things that make me effective in my, call it like insane type A personality, make me effective at home. And my kids also know that, I send podcast episodes they should be listening to, and I'm texting, reminders of how to have their mindset. So it might be overkill. They might want a mom that just says, good job. But, that's who I am as a person. So I think it's important as a woman to understand what you will do and what you won't do and what you're willing to sacrifice, because you can't have it all. I'm just telling you now, you cannot have it all. You need to figure out where you're going to bend. And sometimes that means personal. Sometimes that means work.
By the way, my wife and you'd be best friends.
I need to meet her. Yes.
So it's funny. We were talking to someone the other day, and they were asking if they should become a woman certified business. And the person I was talking to is a friend of mine. She's like, I don't know. Are you a man certified business? And although she was like kidding and not kidding, I was just like, that is a weird question I just asked. Right. Now, granted, there is a certification that there's, some opportunities there.
When it comes to women certified business, so I have a friend who actually went through that process, and there are a lot of, we'll call them opportunities, particularly in the government, that may come as a woman certified business owner. Right. Now, personally, I looked at that and I looked at the process it takes for me to go through that and the potential gains that I might get as a result of that program. And quite frankly, the amount of work that I need to put into it and the type of work we were to maybe then acquire as a result of that did not pan out on paper. It really didn't. We were not missing business. If anybody's missing business, typically, and especially if you're a woman or minority, maybe I'll get some flack for this, but a lot of times you're missing because of a mindset. Your mindset going into any situation, if you go into a mindset saying, I am the inferior in this room and they must, they got to take somebody, so I hope I get it. Absolutely not. The person that's getting that opportunity is going into it saying, I am here because I am the best fit for this. I've done the research. I've understood the client, whatever it is. It's your mindset. No piece of paper is typically going to overweigh the amount of time that you need to spend there.
I love it. I agree. Your YouTube channel, it feels, and again, you share all the numbers and that sort of thing that makes sense, but it really feels like a go-to resource for a lot of marketers around the world. We talked a little bit about this, but how did that come about, and what got you to start doing this? And then how has that led with your relationship with HubSpot and your business?
YouTube is one of those platforms that I think people wake up and go, I'm going to start a channel. And everyone jumps online, and just like anything today, I'm going to start a podcast, and we all clap and we cheer and we give, high fives, and their social media post goes viral. And then people often check back 3 months later and ask, so how's that channel going? They're oh yeah, I abandoned that. So, Zip Godin, also, I'm a big fan of his. He says a lot of things about how we start things and celebrate the starting, but nobody celebrates the middle or the keeping going.
Yeah.
And that is how I feel about our YouTube channel. But we started it as an experiment. And so, again, at the time we started it, nobody knew that we were doing it. We just had clients that they were having challenges with HubSpot. And so we thought, well, why don't we just make some Loom videos? Loom was very new at the time. I love Loom. I cannot live without it.
When Allie mentions Loom, she's talking about a video tool that lets you record your screen, voice, and face all in one simple message. But more than that, it's a way to make communication feel personal again, to show, not just tell, to teach with empathy, and to replace long emails with something more human. Sometimes the right tools don't just save time, they create connection.
We just made some Looms and put them up on YouTube and added like an intro slide. And overnight, we started to get this traffic. And so we figured, why don't we just spin out a new YouTube channel and see how that goes? So we put a lot more production value in it. It also was like a really good timing of things. So HubSpot themselves had not invested in YouTube strategically. So we were able to really kind of garner a lot of their traffic. And then 6 months into us launching it, we had the pandemic. So at the time that HubSpot doesn't have a whole lot of resources, Marketing teams are cut in half. Everyone left behind is like, what is this HubSpot thing? And how do I now do it since it's not part of my job? They find our channel. And so it just became sort of like the foundation of our story. But at the same time, it really reinforced this whole idea that people are looking for people they can trust when they need help. And then how do we, again, monetize that and build a service around it? So a lot of our service offering, if not all of it, has been built around observing how people ask questions of HubSpot, ask us questions in meetings. We see hundreds, if not thousands of portals now over the course of the company. Tell me how many other people in our business have seen that many problems in a very specific platform and are not qualified to answer that. So we're now at about 26,000. I think we just hit 27,000 subscribers. Our goal is to hit 50. Yeah, our goal is to hit 50,000 this year. So if you're watching and listening, please go subscribe. And the benefit long-term is HubSpot has started a channel. They now are doing a lot more. They have 50 people on their media team the last time they announced it. So our goal is to be the third party. We don't work for HubSpot, we're partners, but we're going to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly is what we can in our partner agreement. But we're also just, we work in it every day. So that's why I think you watch ours as opposed to maybe the people that are paid to work for HubSpot.
Yeah. Now, this is not a HubSpot commercial. But for those maybe don't know a HubSpot or haven't used it, from your perspective, what do you see as the benefits and superpower of that platform and why you would recommend one of your clients to use it?
Well, a lot of times HubSpot is heard about being a marketing tool. And I think that's because they started as a marketing tool. And so this is kind of a side note. If you've heard of any technology and you haven't looked at it in the last 12 months, you have a wildly inaccurate understanding of what that technology does. I'm just going to say that because every technology is changing so quickly that even if you think you know what Adobe Photoshop is, you don't know what Adobe Photoshop is if you haven't used it in 12 months. So HubSpot is a platform that will help you operationalize the marketing, sales, service, data. I mean, think about it like if you had a central tie to your business across all of your entire data platforms, that's what it is now. So we're building delivery systems within HubSpot. We're building our marketing automation. We're building sales accountability and sales team outreach. I mean, you name it, we're probably building it there. It is not a small investment. And it also HubSpot comes across as it's easy to use, which is like saying, if anybody's ever done a home remodel project and you've watched somebody like very easily replace something and then you got to do it yourself and you're like, what am I doing in the contract? You're like almost embarrassed to call a contractor because you've now screwed it up so bad. That's a lot of the work that we do is it's okay. It's okay. This is not easy. It's not your full-time job. You should have someone else managing this. And now data is the lifeblood of your business. So if your data's screwed up, you probably are going to be hurting for the future.
Ellie, I'm going to take a screen cap and send you my first workflow I made. There's like 8,000 branches. There's no way it was going to work. But in my mind, it's easy. And I ended up perfectly. But I really should send it to you because I think you'll make fun of me and I'll appreciate it. Because, man, I was so proud of that thing. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like a root system of a forest.
Yep. And I mean, so if you get further into the ecosystem, any software has this, like there's these, user groups and kind of power users and people that just nerd out on stuff. But the thing that is so important to remember with HubSpot or any other tool is it's a tool for you to achieve business outcomes. So if that workflow looked really great, but at the end of it, the thing that you wanted to drive does not happen, then something's broken, something's wrong, the strategy's off, whatever. And so I think the superpower we're bringing to our clients is if you're using HubSpot and not getting results, it might be a training issue. It might be a strategy issue. It might be a setup issue. It might be we see a lot of issue with like the reports are not even going to be able to be created because of the way you've set up your data structure. So it's like a treasure hunt every day for us, which is very fun. But yes, we've seen workflows on steroids. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's a very kind way to say my day. I will say too, one of the things that really resonated is this podcast was our 10th year, right? And we started it as an experiment of wanting to meet people in our network that we felt were fascinating or had so much to teach or share and lift them up, but also make connections. And we just fell in love with the story process. So I can totally relate to that. But for you, as someone who thrives, it feels like on experimentation and growth, what's next for you in Simple Strat?
Well, Simple Strat right now, we've never had an outbound sales team, not even just outbound, but like we've done a lot of our work has been in referrals and inbound from our YouTube channel. Yeah. So we're expanding our go-to-market presence there. And We've got some new things on the funnel, like a sales productivity and AI program that is kind of on the skirts. We've got a wait list for that right now. So that's kind of fun. And I think we'll see a lot more people. We've got retained packages, but we'll see a lot more people doing, we'll call them projects with their data and AI on top of it. So for us, AI needs to have a strong foundation to be built upon in order for it to take that data and then create new things out of it. So we're finding a lot of times that with people that want to do digital transformation, they want to really take that next step with their tech platforms, they have to fix that data structure and the inputs and all of the kind of controls behind it. So that's what we're doing now, but I think we'll see a lot of building on top of that.
Awesome. Well, maybe this is maybe a simple question, maybe not, but what do you see typically, or what kind of questions are usually asked of you when you realize, wow, these people really need us to help?
So we hear a couple of things. So one of the first things that is, it's not really an admission of guilt of anything. It's just, we pay for this tool. And I think we're only using like 5% of it. I mean, they just kind of pick a number, 5%, 10%, 20%. So they have this awareness that it can do so much more, but they just really don't know what they don't know. So folks like that, we have a Maximizing HubSpot program. We'll help uncover their business goals. And really it's like, hey, you guys are doing all these things by hand. Did you know that we can actually do this, this, and this? And okay, that's what I was looking for. Or, hey, this is actually an outdated technology, or the way you've got this set up right now is being sunsetted in 12 months. So it's actually going to cause a negative impact in your business. So not even just getting more out of HubSpot, you need to fix this. And then we've got people that they'll use, loving references like, oh, my HubSpot's a hot mess, or my HubSpot's a dumpster fire. And so, with that particular admission, we have a program called Fix My HubSpot, getting people to remedy sort of their situation. We have one new client that just is coming on board, and I think they understand the issues and they can solve them, but getting organizational buy-in to do the things they need to do is going to require a consultant. It's the consultant effect when they come in and say like, okay, finally the people outside are doing the things that I told you inside to do. Right. So we have some folks like that. And then we've got people that HubSpot's a very, it's ongoing changes. 132 updates was how many they released last month on the platform. So if anybody says they're a HubSpot expert, but they're also a Salesforce and a Klaviyo and a MailChimp and a whatever expert, you can't be an expert in all those systems. So we keep our eye on the pulse of all that and then help bring that to the table so we can help clients optimize through a managed service every month. So that's kind of the things people talk about. But yeah, dumpster fire, hot mess, can't get enough out of it. Or things are fundamentally just broken and they need someone to kind of come in and wrangle the troops and keep it running on a full-time basis.
No, that's great. Well, I have two very serious questions left.
Yeah.
Number one, how do you feel about the Runza?
Okay, so for those of you that are not based in Nebraska, I know, Justin, you're in the Iowa, Chicago region. Runza is a beloved Russian German fast food here in Nebraska, and it's this breaded dough with like this cabbage and hamburger inside. I personally love them. There are people that they're mystified at how someone would eat that, but I personally love a good Runza, especially on a football game day.
Yeah. So my first time to Nebraska, I judged a local design show.
Oh, okay.
We went for lunch and I'm like, what is this magic eating right now? It was so incredible.
Yes. My husband will not eat the Runza, but he is a big fan of their double cheeseburgers or something of that nature.
I didn't know they had more than the Runza.
They do. I mean, they have a very savvy ad agency that runs a lot of their, product marketing. I don't know what it's called in fast food.
Agency Runza.
Oh, yeah. Yes. They run lots. Yes. Very good, Justin.
We'll probably cut that out. Yeah. Well, the second question, actually, this is one of my favorites. So, Allie, you've been doing this for a while. What are the sort of things that are really just motivating you now or you're excited about?
So the things that I'm motivated by largely based around people. I do really enjoy relationships and strategic partnerships. So that's one of our core focuses is building those out for the firm. But I really get jazzed by solving problems and finding new opportunities to help people and drive revenue. So whether that's doing that for the clients or whether that's doing it for myself, it's a quality that's both a positive and a negative because I feel like I'm one of those people that's never satisfied. So I go somewhere and, let's say that the check-in at a particular event is backed up and terrible. And I'm like, if they would just do this and if they would go here, and if they would do this. So I might be a terrible person for my family to travel with because I'm always just like, this should be faster. This should be better. We can work on this. But I've also learned that that's codependency. I can't fix everyone else's problems everywhere all the time. What? So I know. But I'm very, very excited about that. And then I have 2 boys, one's in college, one's in high school. And, this is spring sports season. So I love watching them play. And I love just building relationships with people, over, say drinks at the edge of the ball field. Yeah. So that's kind of what fills my time.
That's fantastic. Are you a list maker?
Yes. And in fact, I have spent a lot of my time in the last couple of years trying to figure out how to make all my systems work together. So big fan of getting things done in that book. So I actually have, a couple of things that do my, we'll call them mental, tickler files.
Yeah.
But I have recently figured out my system is Evernote and Notion. I know people ask why both, but there's a reason. Evernote, Notion, paper notes, and then a variety of things that bring everything into one place so I can review them and delegate.
Oh man, I think we're related. Do you have the same sickness I have? So I use Todoist and Notes and a couple other things. If you do something that's not on your list, do you put it on it so you can mark it off?
Oh my God. Why don't you? I don't understand people that do things and don't write them down in post-haste and then cross them off.
Yeah, it's such great joy.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk through it. And I know that we both share some interest in creating wonder and imagination for people too. And I do believe that everyone is trying so hard to do the how do I say this nicely? It doesn't show up on paper in a graph or a chart, and so they don't believe that it will work. And, creatives, especially if you look at a lot of the really great creative from, let's say, the 80s and 90s, I mean, they were briefs, but they had to influence and persuade their clients to move forward with those great ideas. And I just got done watching the movie Air. Have you watched that movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I found myself fighting for that main character, Sonny, because that is what I feel like my life is on a daily basis. And I said, I can see that this person or this product or this thing is big and no one else is seeing it.
This is where you come up with a brilliant idea that no one else can see. Let's hear it.
I got it.
I found him. Who's that? Jesus? Can't afford it.
I'm willing to bet my career on one guy. My name's Sonny Vaccaro. I'm with Nike.
Do you typically make it a habit of showing up at people's front doors unannounced?
I don't like to take no for an answer.
Oh, man. Here we go.
You ask me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Yeah, okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. Don't change that now.
For a rookie?
Yes.
Who's never set foot on an NBA court.
That's the literal definition of rookie, yeah.
What's the plan?
We build a shoe line around just him. I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
Your motor.
And, thankfully he was able to get it on board. But even the night was like, we don't do that. We don't whatever. And eventually he went for a run, which is how a lot of my ideas come out of my brain too. He went for a run and he came back and he said, okay, we're going to do this. But then at the last minute, Sonny said, okay, we'll go ahead and give you a piece of the sale. And that was just the mom also had the foresight to think about that too. So again, I don't know that any reports that he would have brought into that boardroom would have changed anybody's minds. And we're still creatures of story, just like you said. And we do not give people enough leeway to make decisions with inspiration.
Well, this is great. Your job, and let's just say HubSpot, a lot of the area where you spend space is actually built a lot on process and data and that sort of thing, right? And so I find it fascinating that you see the importance and the value of story and how that moves us. How does that come into your recommendations?
In our company, I think it's hard for us to come into a room and maybe lean into the power of story if they already have a clearly defined need. We need to make sure that we put the tourniquet on, stop the bleeding, do the whatever we need to do. It's very much of a triage effect, I think, at first. But especially when someone's onboarding into HubSpot, you get a chance to paint the picture and say, now get out your magic wands. And I want you to think about all the things that you want your business to do or what you could accomplish with HubSpot. And back to that school mentality, we're so used to trying to give the teacher the right answers that we're unwilling to come up with stuff that's just absolutely crazy. man, I would love it if HubSpot could do this. And again, the technical personalities often will be like, well, it doesn't do that. Okay, you can't ideate and evaluate in the same sentence. Like, you've already shot that down. So for us, it often comes into asking clients where they want to go in their business and helping them realize that it's a safe space. But then for me in particular, I am serving as our, strategist and growth marketer. And so if I don't have a chance to lean into that for clients, I do personally look at that with Simple Strat. So is anybody doing XYZ in our industry right now? No. Does that mean that they're not doing it because it doesn't work or because they're scared to try? And so I typically, look through those two scenarios, and there's something that we're doing that's on that second option of I think they're scared to try. And so we're going to be one of the first. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, what made you think of start doing this? What data showed it? And I was like, there was no data.
Man, I love that. So I'm going to share a belief that we have, and I'd love you just to respond to it. I believe the B2B relationship is a much more of an emotional experience and sell than a B2C relationship. How do you feel that?
I 100% agree with that. I think a B2C experience is manufactured, and it must be because it has to be highly scalable to give people that same emotion. And, when I buy a pair of, let's say, Tom's shoes, Tom's shoes was built on the idea that, give one, buy one, give one, or whatever it was. When I buy Tom's shoes now, I just bought them because I like the sandals. I'm not really buying them. Maybe some people are buying them still for that sort of philanthropic effect. But the feeling that one gets when they partner in a business scenario and know that you are affecting the livelihood of all their customers, all of their employees, you're empowering them to know that they can now achieve the things that they didn't think were possible, that's an emotional experience.
When you brought wonder, that set my spidey sense off. Looking toward the future, you're in technology, you're in data. You shared some products that you guys are creating that obviously, the AI genie's out of the bottle. That's going to be the part of the rest of our life. And one of the things I keep telling people as often as I can is the AI we're experiencing now is the worst AI we'll ever have in our life. It's only going to get better. So as you look at that, I'm going to make a slight assumption that you're with me on that.
Yeah.
If not, please disagree. I personally see the value of story and empathy and understanding the human experience to be even more critical. How do you see that in your business?
So one of the biggest things that I've noticed on social media relative to AI, so this is why it impacts our business, is when someone sees someone do something with AI, there's a bunch of me toos. So, hey, we're using AI to do this. Oh, me too. And then we all look the same. Hey, I'm using AI to make this, toy of myself that if I was sold in a store, here's who I am. Me too.
Oh my gosh, I just did that today.
That's okay. I have not done it yet because I like
pretty cool.
I have this allergy to, and this is part of the reason I think why I was bullied in high school and in elementary school too, is like I just did not care if everybody was doing something. And I said, I'm just going to be an individual. So I think where AI is now is definitely very good. And like you said, it's going to get far better, and this is the worst it will be right now. But with that, it will normalize. And when things normalize, they become an advantage to everybody all the time, and they're all using it. We all now have cell phones. Some people had cell phones early, some didn't. But every newest version now of the iPhone is a little bit better. But if I have an iPhone 10, I'm not missing too much between that and the 15. So that's what we're going to now experience. So the normalization will happen. Now, what will not be inherent for people that don't have that skill is how they use those things. So you and I both have phones. Everybody I know has phones, and yet I can create really engaging videos on this device, and someone can create really terrible things on that device. That is what we're going to experience, I think, with AI going forward. So because it's going to be normalized for everybody, how you're using it and how you connect with the human side of the things is still going to be what sets you apart. And I've seen enough people tell stories without any AI, with just their voice, that captivate people enough to then keep them engaged. We're going to see that with AI. And I think it's so important to understand how people think, how to connect with them. If there's any degree that you should get now, it's in psychology.
I so appreciate your perspective and your time, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, I am so excited to be able to have this conversation because typically we're reserved to our very small world of the HubSpot land. And, I'm asked about workflows and productivity and more practical stuff. So this is cool.
Awesome.
Allie, thank you so much for your time and for your clarity, your courage, and the way you show up with both heart and strategy. You reminded us that systems matter, but people matter more, and that marketing is about connection, not just conversion, and that the boldest moves we make often start with a quiet decision to trust our instincts and take that leap. To everyone listening, if something resonated today, don't let it sit. Share it, write it down, try it. Because the kind of business you're building and the kind of leader you're becoming is being shaped in every choice you make. Thanks for spending time with us. And until next time, keep asking better questions, keep creating with purpose, and keep designing a life and business you believe in. Before we go, a big thank you to Sleeping at Last for providing the beautiful soundtrack to our show. Ryan's music is a constant source of inspiration. And if you'd like to hear more, visit sleepingatlast.com or search Sleeping at Last wherever you listen to music. A special shout out to our main man and amazing audio engineer, Steve Wick, who loved this episode so much. It reminded him of his favorite comfort food.
Napoleon, give me some of your tots.
No, go find your own.
Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today. God, freaking idiot.
I truly hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did making it. If you did, please leave a rating on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Share the show with a friend, post about it on your favorite platform, and help us keep these stories going. An extra special shout out to Rule 29 O'Neill for giving us the space to create the show. You can follow us on Twitter at Design of Podcast and visit us at rule29.com for more. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Design of.